Good evening, one and all. Welcome, Rodney sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, although it's a bit faint, Hari.
Please adjust me. A warm welcome to one and all who are present in this webinar meet. Will of students through Sri Venkateswara Law Students Association are conducting online legal webinars, and this is our 10th webinar on artificial intelligence and Indian law by our speaker, Mr. D. Rodney Ryder. Previously, we have conducted webinars with legal luminaries who are proficient experts in their own field of law, people like Pradeep Roy, Mahalakshmi Pavani, and Sonia Mathur, who are senior advocates in the Supreme Court, and also other prominent advocates have participated in our webinar and gave lecture on different topics regarding the law subject. Our motto is learning about a subject by reading a book or class. Learning is different from having a direct interaction with a person who had eminent practical knowledge in the particular subject or its field gives more impact on a law student. So this webinar's main motto is to give that knowledge that's very useful for the student when he comes out of college and steps into practice. We will have a 45-minute session of this webinar, and at last we're gonna have 15 minutes Q&A. People who are interested can ask the speaker questions and clear your doubts during this 15 minutes Q&A session. It's an honor to have you, sir, at this webinar, and we hope we learn a lot of things about AI and the Indian law.
Thank you so much, my friend. It's an honor to be here and to interact with all of you. Thank you so much for your time and, of course, for organizing this. It's truly fantastic. What I will try to do is to just upload my presentation now.
So just a small request. Before that, I'm going to give you an introduction about you.
Oh, yeah, sure, sure. Sorry about that.
No, no
Sorry.
problem. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Mr. D. Rodney Ryder is a lawyer with over 2 decades of experience in technology, data privacy, intellectual property, and new media laws. He is the founding partner of Scribot, a full-service commercial law firm with cutting-edge specialization in technology, new media, and intellectual property laws. He is the author of Guide to Cyber Laws, the Information Technology Act 2000, e-commerce, data protection, and the Internet. The first section-wise analysis of the Indian Information Technology Act 2000. He is presently advisor to the Ministry of Communications and Information Technology, Government of India, on the implementation of the Information Technology Act 2000. He counsels a wide range of clients from startups to the Fortune 100 and represents them in litigation regarding technology law, data security, compliance with law enforcement, and intellectual property strategy. He is on the board and advisor to leading companies. He is regularly interviewed and widely quoted by Indian and international media on technology, intellectual property, and new media laws. Mr. Ryder has been nominated as leading lawyer in intellectual property, technology, communications, and media law by Asia Law, Who is Who Legal, Asia Legal 500, amongst other international publications. Mr. Ryder has been listed as one of the India's leading lawyers in the 40 under 45 study conducted by Who is Who Legal, United Kingdom. In 2021, Mr. Ryder was listed in Super 50 TMT list of leading TMT lawyers in Asia, published by Asian Legal Business. His second book, Intellectual Property and the Internet, has been acknowledged to be an authoritative work on domain name disputes by the Honorable Supreme Court of India. It has been quoted in the first and only judgment by the Honorable Supreme Court of India on domain names. He is advisor to National Internet Exchange of India and a member of panel of independent and neutral arbiters with NICSI. He is also an adjunct professor and visiting faculty at various universities like IIT Kanpur, National Law School of India University, Bangalore, and other prestigious universities. And once again, thank you, sir, for accepting our request and being here to have this webinar. And I will give you the, and you can take over, sir. Sir? Rodney, sir, can you hear me?
Sir, you are on mute.
Sir, you are not audible, sir.
Yeah,
can
no,
still
I'm just trying to share my presentation.
Okay, sir. Okay. That's fine.
I'm having a bit of trouble sharing this. How do I do it? Ah. Can you see this? Can all of you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you, all of you, for being here. And of course, I wish that I could be with all of you in person and that we were having this conversation probably in a small, cozy meeting room over a cup of tea. But since that can't happen right now, we will try to use technology to make the best use of things. I am going to, in the next half an hour to 45 minutes, try and share some core themes with you, which I believe are at the heart of this topic of artificial intelligence, robotics, and law, and what could happen in the future. There are a couple of things I want to stress. One, that each one of these themes is detailed enough to have a day-long or maybe a couple of days workshop on in itself. So one of the drawbacks I have is that I'm going to touch on each topic and introduce you and perhaps leave you to think about it thereafter. The next little caveat that I have is that I believe that a lot of things will change. That as far as artificial intelligence is concerned, we are in the very early days, which is bad from one point, that there are a number of ways in which things can progress. It is difficult to predict, but the good thing is that each one of you here, including myself, is starting to think about these things as they happen. And for each one of us in this meeting, and for myself, these are important areas of thought, important areas of business, and important areas of law practice in the days ahead. So moving forward, what I want to do is to connect. Look at existing technology law and practice. Look at some of the core issues in regulating online behavior, how that has and will impact artificial intelligence regulation, important concepts in understanding intelligence per se, in understanding the notion of personhood, the huge impact that artificial intelligence will have on privacy, the immense and dangerous impact that artificial intelligence might have on war and warfare. And then towards the end, I'm going to leave you with perhaps some rules to think about. Things that we all could possibly agree will be the way forward for any regulation or any law. Because already we've seen that the United States, the European Union are all drafting rules, drafting laws, and we are in the early days yet. So moving forward, when we look at a unified strategy, let me just bring you up to date with what's happened so far in technology law regulation. When we looked at the internet, we saw the immense role that architecture played. We said that architecture is what made the internet powerful. The architecture without barriers, Gilmore's law, coming out of an article published by John Gilmore titled The Lawless, which appeared in The Economist in 1995. And that law summarizes the architecture of the internet. In one sentence, the net interprets censorship as damage and roots around it. So architecture, the way the internet is built, has a very powerful role, and the way intelligence is built and created has a very powerful role. We then said that does law apply to the internet? And there were many thinkers who put their mind to it, notably Yochai Benkler, who stated that the internet as a medium has three layers: the physical, the digital or code, and content. And law must apply to one or more of these layers. Lessig said, Lawrence Lessig, in his book Code and Other Laws of Cyberspace, he said quite clearly that for effective regulation, law and code should come together. In one of my books, there's a chapter titled Regulating Indian Cyberspace. And I say that the IT Act is all about trying to ensure that the rule of law applies to the internet. John Goldsmith and Timothy Wu wrote a book in the year 2006 titled Who Controls the Internet? And they argued that this powerful combination of law and technology enables governments, if they want to control the internet with an iron hand. And Goldsmith and Wu give us a number of examples from the People's Republic of China, some verifiable, some partial myth, but the impact is clear that technology and law as a powerful combination has come to stay. Technology will be regulated, but it will also be regulated with the help of technology itself. The IT Act is powerful because it is a connector. And what is the function of the IT Act? In a phrase, functional equivalence. When the IT Act was passed, it amended the Indian Penal Code, it amended the Evidence Act, it amended the Bankers Book Evidence Act and other laws, enabling all of them to be applied to the internet. The IT Act is a connector also. And in law, there is a distinction between the law of the medium and the law of the machine. And we've seen how national governments have enforced the law. Adobe Systems inviting a Russian hacker called Dmitry Skylorov to the United States so that they could arrest him. A ploy used time and time again. But our IT Act is also very clear that the Indian law enforcement, the Indian Information Technology Act will apply to any offense involving a computer system or network in India. And in terms of evidence, everything electronic is admissible. An electronic record is a document. And Section 65B of the Indian Evidence Act of 1872 gives us that presumption as to the admissibility of an electronic record. Why am I telling you all of this? I'm telling you all of this for two reasons. One, it is important for us to understand the history and the evolution of technology law, because it has gone along a clear logical path. Second, that we are approaching artificial intelligence and the regulation of artificial intelligence, having done quite a good job of regulating the internet so far. So we have seen a lot of success. Let's go back to 1995, 1996, when people wondered, will the internet be regulated? How will it be regulated? And we've answered those questions. So that is theme one. Theme two, that the intermediary, the platform, is what powers the internet. And you have the bullet point 2 in front of you, section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, the 26 words that created the internet, giving protection to platforms. No provider or user of an interactive computer service shall be treated as the publisher or speaker of any information provided by another information content provider. If I own the platform, I do not have liability. I have a safe harbor, which has enabled the rise of platforms. It's enabled the creation of Facebook, Twitter, before that, Orkut, MySpace, so on and so forth. It's also enabled us to be present on the internet by taking away that liability for the intermediary. But looking at artificial intelligence, one of my first major points is, how do we approach intelligence? And it was in the late 90s that Garry Kasparov, the reigning world chess champion, was beaten at chess by an IBM computer called Deep Blue. Garry Kasparov, my personal favorite and a tremendous chess player, was outclassed by a machine with greater cognitive ability. That means Deep Blue then and computers now can remember every chess game ever played. They can just recall it from memory. That's not possible for a human being. And people said, oh, our machine is going to supplant us. are machines going to be more intelligent? And we've looked at whether machines can imitate human beings, the famous Turing test. We've looked at how good they can be at recalling information. Of course, in cognitive intelligence, machines are in many ways superior to human beings. But I come to the fourth point here. What is intelligence? And a famous psychologist, Howard Gardner, gave us the theory of multiple intelligences. He says that human intelligence can't be classified only as memory or cognition. There is a neuromuscular intelligence. There is a interpersonal intelligence. And intelligence cannot be put or classified as a universal norm. The ability to recall vast amounts of data is something that unlike a human being. So I term it unhuman thinking. Humans don't think like that. We cannot recall data. I remember as a many years ago, around 26, 27 years ago. That's how ancient I am, my friends. When I was a law student and these online databases and CDs were very new. One afternoon, while I was doing internship, I was a little bored with nothing to do. So I entered a search word to find out how many decisions, judgments of the Honorable Supreme Court of India contain the word chocolate. I was bored, so I just entered it in. And that search engine looked through all the all the cases, and it came out with 2 Excise Act cases where the word chocolate figured. Now, that is an example of unhuman thinking. A human being would take hours, days, weeks, or months perhaps to sift through every judgment to find out which judgment contains the word chocolate. That doesn't mean that the program is intelligent. Ability to reproduce information, ability to gather data is not necessarily intelligence. As long as you have a human being structuring the knowledge, helping a machine learn and programming it, that machine is not truly intelligent. Another example of intelligence is our understanding of space, of time, of physicality. Another huge impact of intelligence is knowing how to deal with other human beings. And some people are very good at it. Some people have the charisma, great politicians, great leaders, but even there you have differences. You have the example of Julius Caesar, who led thousands of men into battle. He was a great general. He understood the pulse of his army. He could lead them anywhere. But in the Senate, he didn't know that more than 25 people wanted to assassinate him. His nephew, Octavian, later who became Augustus Caesar, didn't himself fight a single battle, but was able to get more power than any emperor in history. So even interpersonal intelligence, my submission before you, has many types. So when we talk about intelligence, what are we talking about? Are we talking about the ability to remember, recall? Then yes, we have intelligent machines. But more than that, perhaps not yet. The other huge theme for us is the application in law. And it was of quite significant interest to me to find that Gottfried Leibniz, the inventor of the calculus along with Sir Isaac Newton, Leibniz was a lawyer. And one of his research was, can maths help improve the law? Can we use the logic of maths? Because both maths and law have rules. And we've looked at the development of this. We've looked at many tasks being handled by automation. We've looked at trying to predict the outcome of cases, predictive coding. We've looked at legal and policy decisions being made based on the use of data. We've looked at machines to look at patterns and to detect that. And of course, presently, a lot of us deploy reminders, compliance mechanisms, all of that. We are moving towards computable contracts. And we are also seeing the rise of legal chatbots. All of this are very powerful applications of computing, of technology in the law. But these haven't come to the extent of being truly intelligent. Are they truly useful? Of course. Do they cut down on human time? Yes. Do they help practitioners? Yes. For example, an artificial intelligence system can sift through 40,000, 50,000 different types of X-rays and can do so in a much shorter span of time than it takes for a qualified human doctor with years of experience to do so. So we have a system where artificial intelligence functions like the Greek story of the centaur, the half man, half horse. Is there a question? Right. Sorry. So you have the application and use of artificial intelligence with human beings. The next important point is regulating artificial intelligence. What do we regulate? Do we regulate the human control, the human interaction? But first, as I mentioned earlier, what do we want to call intelligent and what do we want to regulate? As far as having a non-human agent is concerned, yes, we've seen that in the 1971 House of Lords case, Thornton versus Shoe Lane Parking. We have the Honorable Lord Denning telling the learned Mr. Thornton, the plaintiff, that look, it's possible for you to interact with a non-human agent, and the parking meter can function as a non-human agent of the meter company, which leads to other issues in terms of product liability and consumer protection. Robots cannot be sued, but their manufacturers can be and should be. There should be appropriate risks and warnings for driverless cars, for medicines, and for bots which interact with human beings. My submission is that a human being should always know to the extent technology is involved. They should, for example, always know that they are chatting with a bot, that their diagnostics is going through technology. And therefore, it's important to bring about codes relating to professional ethics and liability, and to look at any discrepancy. So in criminal law, the futuristic idea of dealing with and punishing naughty robots based on evidence that is maybe contained in that robo itself. So all of these are interesting questions in themselves. Intellectual property. Now, till date, we have not come upon a machine which can create. A machine which is programmed by someone else to create something cannot get independent ownership and authorship. That is the test in Alice Corporation versus CLS Bank. Aside from the fact that the law does not contemplate a non-human creator, but if the machine itself is created by a human being and is programmed to perform a task, then my friends, I do not see how it has enough independent agency to get ownership. And therefore, we need not worry about the other issues, such as moral rights, sharing of revenue and royalties, so on and so forth. So as far as the case of the artificial inventor is concerned, which sounds like a Sherlock Holmes short story, until this artificial intelligence or this artificial inventor is not capable of independent thought and assertion, I do not think it can be entitled to ownership. The other huge impact of artificial intelligence and technology per se is in the gathering of data. And you will see this interaction with the personal data protection law when we have our own law in the near future. Because right now, data and metadata is being collected at a frightening pace. Metadata is data about data. How long did my phone call last? Where was I physically present when I made the call? Who do I talk to most number of times in the day? So all of this is being collected about me and can be used for surveillance by the state. And now this data which is collected can be analyzed backwards in time because no data is being deleted. It's all there for us, or rather for technology to use. So while e-commerce has celebrated the elimination of middlemen and retailers, it has created a new middleman, the platform. And governments and business can get together and exercise a great amount of control. And artificial intelligence, data analysis is proving to be something that needs to be looked into and regulated. Because then the next point comes in of using these powerful tools for surveillance. Jeremy Bentham wrote about the panopticon. This prison where the jailer was in the center and there were cells all around. And because the jailer's quarters or the office was blackened with black windows, the prisoner couldn't tell whether the jailer was awake or asleep or having food or watching television or doing whatever. So this was well before the CCTV camera. Even George Orwell's imagination of 1984. Now what's happened is that post September 11, the terrorist attack on the World Trade Center, you have laws that allow the government to collect data. And This will have a tremendous impact once this data is studied by artificial intelligence systems. Because remember, like a chess game, they do not forget. They have access to all kinds of knowledge. And this is an important point for us to think about. In Justice Puthaswamy's case, we laid down, or the Supreme Court 9-member bench laid down a few rules for data privacy, which applies more than ever now, should apply in the context of artificial intelligence. Individual control, the right of the individual to exercise control over what data is collected and how it is used. Transparency about privacy and security practices, respect for context, security, access and accuracy, responsible collection and accountability, all of which should come into a new law. Another huge issue in artificial intelligence is bias. The bias of the programmer, the bias of the creator. And by bias, I mean any preference. Bias is not necessarily a negative word, though it has a slight negative connotation here. Any preference can alter things, can make things no longer be neutral. For example, if I say I like chocolate ice cream, that's a bias. And therefore, if I am a programmer programming a robo, that robo might think or might be programmed to think that chocolate ice cream is superior to strawberry or butterscotch. So all of this depends on the core points, the decisions we make, the shortcuts we incorporate, because thinking also can be reduced to shortcuts. Fear, laziness. The core issue is, how do we program a computer, or how do we analyze a program to recognize biases? To recognize biases that come into language, to come into terms. So if you ask me, how was your day? And I say, it was a good day. What does that mean? That doesn't give you very much information, because a good day for you might be a nice relaxed time with friends. For someone else, it might be going to the movies. For someone else, it might be watching their favorite team win a cricket match. So what is a good day? The other aspect is bringing things together. What is known as the opposable mind, integrative thinking. So Jack Sparrow in the Pirates of the Caribbean tells Will Turner that your father, William Turner Sr., was a pirate and a good man. So it's interesting that a person can be a pirate and a good man, or a bandit and a robber and a good man. So we've seen that in our Indian tradition. Valmiki, Rishi Valmiki, when he was Ratnakar the dacoit, he was Ratnakar the dacoit, but he also was the good provider to his wife and children. So a person can be both. Is our programming going to reflect that as far as computers are concerned? And therefore, to eliminate bias, we must look at how artificial intelligence systems are learning, how they are mentored, and how they are taught. The next big theme is war. And we've seen that artificial intelligence has played a role in accelerating cyber warfare. It's taken the simulation and training aspects, which were originally the core theme, but actually now we've seen robots replacing human beings. We've seen automated wars because it's very easy to send a robo or a drone into a battlefield because there's no loss of life, at least from your side. And in the future, there might even be robotic battlefields with one set of robots fighting another. But when it comes to crucial decisions, who makes them? And my humble submission is that are we looking at a future where a robo or a mechanized soldier decides whether a human being should live or not? Granted and guaranteed that we have some terrible guys on the other side, maybe terrorists or whatnot. But should a machine decide to kill them? Is that machine going to decide on its own, independently of any human intervention? And with those kind of things, where are we headed? And that, my friends, is a very dangerous aspect of intelligence and warfare. Now we come, thankfully, to the last part, which is the rules. What kind of rules are we looking at? And I'll go back to a very interesting piece in fiction. Isaac Asimov's short story Runaround, where he brought these 3 rules for a robo. A robo may not injure a human being or through inaction or action cause a human being to come to harm, must obey the orders given to it by human beings, and protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second laws. In later works, a supplemental rule was added. A robo may not harm humanity or by inaction allow humanity to come to harm. So this is one set of a rule. The next is a concoction I've made from, of course, the science fiction writer Isaac Asimov, law professor Frank Pascal, in his book, The New Laws of Robotics. So putting them all together, the law of complementarity or harmony. So robotic systems and artificial intelligence should strive to complement professionals and not replace them, aid professionals, make them better doctors, make them better lawyers, not replace them. Second is even more interesting. Genuine interactions, not counterfeit or fraudulent. Robotic systems and artificial intelligence should not try and counterfeit humanity, should not try and pretend to be human beings. That's not their job. And should not intensify war and conflict, should not intensify a zero-sum arms race. For the purposes of transparency and accountability, and this is very important, robotic systems and artificial intelligence should always indicate the identity of their creators or controllers or operators. So you have a system where you have complementarity, genuineness, the absence of robotic systems, preferably from warfare and conflict, transparency and accountability, so on and so forth. I think with this, we've come to the end of my formal presentation. We can take questions if there are any.
Thank you, sir, for giving such a wonderful presentation. And now I would request the participants to raise the hand request and we will allow you to ask questions. Yes, Mr. Saksham Tiwari, you can unmute and you can ask the question.
Good evening, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yes.
Yes, please go ahead.
Excuse me, sir. First of all, thanks sir for the awesome and intriguing discussion and session. I do have a doubt, like in the case of discussion going on with the AI, one thing has been said, like we cannot think for a situation like everything seems difficult or look difficult in the way of societal aspect or technological aspect, but later on they that same technology is work of the pupils as well. So what are your take on the same, sir? Like we know that AI is big opportunity and bigger part help the individual as well, but in the legal aspect, as you have mentioned about some writers books as well and their opinion, so how do you think, like in the Indian perspective, does the same effect can be generated after some time?
I don't understand. You are talking about. Um, uh, I didn't get your question precisely. You're talking about whether you see artificial intelligence systems contributing?
Yes, sir. In the case of legal sphere.
Right. See, I personally, like I said in the beginning, these are early days, so I see a lot of progress will happen. Secondly, that I see a lot of complementarity, a lot of things where technology can help. And I tried to give you examples where technology has already helped. We don't need those huge law libraries. We can access cases anywhere, anytime on our phones or digital. All of this is intelligence. So I see that this role of intelligence will increase, and this will or should be something that supports legal professionals, and legal professionals should learn to use these resources and actually become better and better and offer better services to their clients.
Thank you, sir, for taking my question, answering question.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for asking.
Pranav Krishna, you can unmute yourself and ask your question, please.
Thank you, Hari Krishna. Well, good evening, sir. It was a wonderful session, and we actually understood a lot of aspects where artificial intelligence could be connected with legal areas. So, actually, my question is, I randomly came across artificial intelligence and attended few classes, and then I'm a law student, and then I got a thought, why not some kind of a legal services can be added or done with including artificial intelligence or machine learning or data science. That's where I was thinking about IPR, intellectual property rights. Then I actually included those both and did one internship as well, and found a lot of things how we can go ahead about it. And that's when I got to know that there is another company named Wipo who are actually doing this they have already done artificial intelligence into IPR. Now my question is, what are your suggestions for me? How can I look up to this, and is it going to work out practically, say in India? I mean, because if we include IPR and artificial intelligence, tomorrow there would not be any use of attorneys, because a system itself can be an attorney and suggest for that matter patents or say trademarks or anything. So what is your suggestion for me? What can I look up to?
Right.
Yes.
See, first of all, congratulations to you for being so interested and so involved. And I think that it's, extremely important to be, first of all, genuinely aware and abreast of the latest developments in the law and how to use them. Second, that WIPO has taken, of course, a global WIPO, as you know, is a UN body. It has global leadership in the area of intellectual property. They do wonderful, wonderful work and on a number of things, right from geographical indications to domain names and whatnot. Now, when you look at what machines and machine learning can do, they can give us some incredible tools. But with each incredible tool, the chance of us enhancing human creativity and production is even higher. So, for example, uh, there was a time when people did not have computers. There was a time when people did not have cellular phones or other recording devices. And with all of these devices, I think personally, we have become better at doing things. We have become more productive. It's possible for us to become more and more, um, uh, competent as professionals. So I think that, first of all, keeping abreast with technology, understanding, knowing how to apply will always keep you in good stead. And I think that technology is an inseparable part of our life and our profession. The more you're in touch with it, the better it is for you. And you will find that it will enrich your experience. Uh, as far as careers are concerned, I'm sure there'll be a number of opportunities for all of us. But separately, in data analytics and machine learning, separately in other forms of artificial intelligence, separately still in robotics. So I think that each one of these sub streams, if I can use that word, sorry for being clumsy, each one of these sub streams will also become very important for us as a career moving on.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for your question. Thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question actually.
Yes, please.
Sir, how can we see the role of Supreme Court's Artificial Intelligence Committee in getting more reforms in the judiciary of India?
See, I think the honorable courts, not only the honorable Supreme Court, but many courts across the board are using a greater amount of technology. It's making everything a lot easier. And I think that as systems become more sophisticated and everyone, that is us as the bar and the bench, become more comfortable with technology, we will see this, taking up very much more. Already, we've seen a dramatic increase in e-filing. We've seen many government offices go online. Uh, and I think that this trend will only enhance. Let me also put in one small observation from me. I think your question is a very good one, as have been the other two as well. I've seen that our country has been comparatively at the forefront of a lot of technological adoption and advancement. And I think that that's a very good sign. I think that will make us, better and better equipped actually to deal with a lot of, things. So I see an uptick in all of this, and I see that the judiciary especially will be using and encouraging lawyers to use a greater amount of technology.
Thank you, sir, for clearing my doubt. And I would like to add one point. Recently, Justice L. Nageshwar Rao had pointed out that in a webinar that AI should be used only for easing of the justice, not to decide the cases and give the justice.
No, I think the honorable judge is very right, because right now we do not have that type of AI right now. And I think the way we are, I do not know, and I cannot, unfortunately, offer any predictions about the future. But right now, we have a lot of powerful, robust, dependable artificial intelligence solutions, which can be used as tools. And I think that is extremely important for us to realize and use these as tools. They cannot, in my opinion, and I might have my own bias, like I advised all of us to look at our own bias internally. So I might be biased myself, but I think that right now is the time that we have to develop this long, enduring, sustainable partnership with artificial intelligence systems, and they can be used, deployed under the supervision and guidance. Because I think that unless I personally see humanity, kindness, and compassion in machines, I would prefer a human judge any day. It's not just about the application of law and application of statute. It is what comes from the heart, what comes from the mind. And we address our judges as honorable judges, the Honorable Supreme Court, because honor is perhaps the biggest thing for a human being. And unless I personally can see that in a machine, I would not be comfortable with a machine to be a judge. Yes, a machine can assist a judge. A machine can sort and help classify cases. A machine can help gather data. A machine can help with a format for analyzing that data, can retrieve, but a human being will have to take that last call, because as I said, I would any day trust and have faith in the honorable judiciary rather than a machine.
Thank you, sir. Now I would request Mansi to unmute and ask her doubt. Mansi, can you hear me? I would request RCS to unmute and
yes,
ask
sir.
her.
Good evening, sir. My name
doubt.
is Rev. Yeah, good evening, sir. My name is Revan Perikla. Very thankful for a very good session from you. Very precious knowledge we gain. And my question is here is about the patents. And usually we find the products of after completing only we get the patents. But at the time of the development or in the process, we don't have any regulation on that. Means I have Miss, my query is about that unmonitored things in other patent, other aspects will be considered. But when in AI, I think requires some close monitoring team because of a code can means a piece of code can be easily transferable from one hand to another hand, which cannot have any regulation. So I think is any regulation acts are available. So I have very low idea on this acts and laws in the development stages of AIs.
Right, you're talking about the theft of intellectual property?
Not only theft, sir, but also having the close monitoring while development
Right.
stages. After completing, we will have the secured environments in the stages of development.
Right. That's a very interesting question, and and even vis-a-vis the previous questions, let me tell you that these are my personal thoughts and my limited understanding. But the way I see it is, a couple of points. One, that these areas, this technology that we are talking about is very fast changing and fast moving. Point number one. Point number two is that in order to protect, there has to be a combination of different types of intellectual property. There has to be patents, there have to be copyright and trade secrets even. And I think that people have underestimated, as a general rule, underestimated the power of trade secrets. Because remember that trade secrets are in perpetuity. They are things which can be applied to intelligence models as well. Having said that, in terms of assisting the inventor, in terms of assisting the creator, artificial intelligence systems can create some very powerful search and storage tools for us to understand the existing pattern landscape. A lot of the landscaping can be done by a machine. So we are looking at very exciting times as far as all of this is concerned. And your question is also something that can be, a part of a major paper or discussion. I think it's very exciting to look at the impact that technology will have on the future development of technology. So we've seen that technology so far has enabled the creation of more technology. So I think that's going to be a remarkable thing that's going to happen in artificial intelligence. And I think that, your thoughts and your questions can be part of a very important line of thinking and research.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question.
I request Samanak to unmute himself and ask a doubt. Mr. Samanak, you can unmute and ask the doubt. Sir, I have another doubt. How can we see the impact of artificial intelligence on legal profession in India?
See, I tried to answer that question with my own caveat. See, as far as I think that in the near future, we are going to see a lot of exciting methods, software, tools, and options before us. Some which have universal applications and some which have core applications to the legal community. I think it's important for us as lawyers, and especially to answer to think further from the question posed by the young lady previously also. You have a lot of opportunities being presented by technology. to know technology, to use technology is very, very important. As far as the age-old question of technology replacing lawyers are concerned, that's not going to happen soon. That's not what we want to do. We want to make technology that enables the justice system to be more robust, more honest, more transparent, and of course, quicker than before. So I see a lot of these tools coming up, which will in the near future, and in the next, say, 5 to 7 years, I predict that there will be a number of interesting options for us as lawyers to help us compare documents, to help us analyze drafts, to help us research and study better. And once we do that, I think already I can see that the young generation of lawyers, Hari generation, your generation, the generation which is asking these questions, they are a lot smarter than we were when we were your age. And a lot of this, of course, has to do with your own dedication and brightness, but also it has to do with the technology options that are available to you now. So it is incumbent on us to use those options effectively and to make those tools serve us in a better way.
Thank you, sir, for clearing that out. Anyone has any doubts? That's it. Thank you, Rodney, sir, for accepting our request and coming here and giving a wonderful webinar on the topic artificial intelligence under Indian law. Yes, as you have told, artificial intelligence should make use of justice to be available to the common man, and it should not decide the justice of what type should be given to the people. And there should be a human intelligence should be driven behind it, and it should be controlled and regulated. And also the data that is collected by the MNCs of the artificial intelligence should be transparent, as you have told. And it's really a wonderful webinar, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Thank you all of you for attending. Thank you for being so patient. Thank you, of course, for the wonderful invitation. And I'm delighted that we could do this session. I look forward to more on other topics in the future. And of course, my big thanks to all people who asked questions, because that's extremely gratifying for a speaker to get questions and to also understand your points of view. And they were very intelligent approaches, suggestions that you put forward. So thank you so much. And I had a wonderful time. I cannot think of a better way to spend my evening than with all of you. I look forward to sooner than later meeting with you in person and to shaking your hand. Thank you, all of you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you
We are very much honored
Thank you. Thank you.
to have you, sir, and giving us your insightful knowledge on the topic. Hope, as you have said, we will meet again in another webinar with another topic, if possible, in the future. Also, we would like to thank all the participants.
Any of you are coming this side to Delhi, just give me a shout. We'll meet up for a meal or a cup of tea or something, or
Definitely,
coffee.
sir, definitely.
Right? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'll say bye to you, and do be in touch.
Thank you.
Yes,
Sir.
Thank
Thank
you
you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.